Hello there, Nikki Does here, and today I wanted to go through my workshop a bit, and well, it's been a mess. So I wanted to show a little bit about what it's like in the workshop. So here is the whole experience. We got the climbing dudes. We go downstairs. We turn right here. We got the automated cat poop machine, and here's the entrance to the workshop. You can tell because the door is all dirty. Hello, is anybody in here? Oh no, it's just me, just the way I like it. So the first thing you'll probably notice in this workshop is that it's pretty much a mess. I painted the floor and I didn't prep it well enough. I just didn't have the ability at that time to do it. So the paint is coming up, so there's certainly some jobs to do down here, but overall I love it. Absolutely love it. There's tons and tons of materials. So I should tell you, this workshop does a few things. It's my day job. In my day job, I design chromatography instruments, scientific lab instruments, and I design the components that go in them and the instruments and test them and everything else. So that's my day job, and I do a fair amount of that down here. And then it also is the support workshop for the house. And we have a lot of cool gizmos and things around the house. So there's always something broken or something that I'm trying to improve or something like that. And then it also is a hobby shop. So if I look over here at one of my main benches, you have electronics up here. So this is mostly electronics. There's some lab chemicals over here for the testing I mentioned and some lab stuff. And that cabinet over there is pretty much filled with lab stuff, although a little bit of metrology. It's always a mess. This is a competing lab instrument here that I occasionally dig into and do some stuff on. Over here, I've got, not only am I charging a battery for something for my father-in-law, but I've got an optical measuring system, a OMM, from Mitutoyo here, and the CNC project. This is the dental mill, the 5-axis dental mill CNC project. So this is waiting right now. So that's waiting. That works. There's lots of stuff waiting, lots of stuff that works. This is a waiting project. This is originally force testers, but I'm converting them into, if you could call it, an arbor press, a pressing system. So a digital pressing system where you can control how hard, how far this thing presses down. So I've got 3 or 4 of those, actually 3 identical and 1 down here that I'm going to convert. Well underway on that one. I've got the reflow ovens under here. I've got the surface mount electronics mounting machine back there somewhere. All sorts of storage, and you can see parts and stuff everywhere. That's like home stuff there, glues and paints and painting systems. This is mostly glue and paint, with a little bit of the automotive and motorcycle and boat and jet ski type stuff in some bins there. So this one's a bit of a mess that could use an improvement. This is all work. A lot of work stuff back here, a lot of instruments that I sometimes take off the shelf, disassemble something, measure, characterize, see how it performs compared to what we're doing. This is all laser marking systems, 2 YAG laser marking systems, and a toolbox full of laser measuring equipment. That's mostly, it's supposed to be all optical spectrophotometers on there, so that's pretty work related. Stuff. This is long storage for boards, 2x4s, things like that I might use down here. I have some outdoor storage for that stuff too. I don't really store a lot of sheet material down here, but outdoor storage. Air compressor is a little bit of a mess yet. I haven't quite figured out how I want to do that. Air dryer is up there. So that's pretty cool. I can get dry air. Some woodworking, planer. There's a jointer. I think it's a 6-inch jointer. Yeah, 6-inch jointer. A nice grizzly planer with a insert head on it. So that's been amazing, carbide inserts. And a grizzly 17-inch bandsaw over there. I've got a welder here, which I also want to build a special rack for. This is the original Miller welder cart that I from my old Miller MIG welder, and this is a Primeweld TIG that I would like to get a MIG gun for also. Tool storage, clamp storage for woodworking. This is the main panel down here. Pretty much unobstructed, so that's pretty cool. It still actually is pretty functional. Battery charging. The whole thing, if you're curious, is 22 by 30 feet or 660 square feet. And it's also 8 by 9 meters roughly for 61 meters squared for those of you in the simpler metric world. I don't use metric for like house measurement stuff. Well, I'll just digress a little bit on that. All the imperial building materials, 4x8 sheets of plywood, that sort of thing. There's no way I can really say I'm going to switch over to metric for home, but for work, I absolutely use metric for everything. I use it for everything, and I love it except for temperature. And I'll tell you why, because 1 degree C is too much. It's too big of an increment. Fahrenheit is a smaller, it's about half, almost a little less than half of a degree C. And so I can say I want it to be 71F or 72F, and that's a difference in comfort. 21 to 22 C, you'll know if your car works in metric, you got to say like 21.5 and 20.5. So that I think is kind of a shame that metric is 100 divisions between 0 freezing and boiling of water. But when I do something like case in a door, for example, and I need to measure this trim, if you do this in inches, it will drive you crazy because you need to measure that is 34 and 7/16, and then if you want half of that, you have to take the 34 and figure out that's 17, and then you got to take the 7/16 and say that's 7/32. And if you want to divide by 3, it's even more of a hassle. But if you measure this in millimeters, I don't care if you're a metric friendly or not, just think of it as a number. If you measure this in millimeters and you want to cut it in half, that's super simple. If you want to do anything to find the center in millimeters, it's a lot easier than finding the center in inches. You don't have to think about feet and inches and that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm a big fan of the metric system for everything, except I just don't think in metric yet for spaces. Like if I say, how far is it from here to here? I don't think of that. So, wait a minute. I think I had a topic here, and that was the workshop. So the big problem you can probably see here is that the workshop is rather a mess. 3D printing, 3D printing, it's fairly organized. I've got some PLA up in the ceiling, hanging down some bulk rolls. I've got some other rolls here, and I've got 3 printers sitting here. Fairly organized. Here's the pick and place machine, and these drawers are all full of components down here. So you'll see like reels of components and bagged components are here to put in the feeders, which are here, and then to do the placements over there. Put them in the reflow oven. Pretty straightforward, not so bad, but the problem really that I have is bulk part storage. Bulk part storage. And I'm fortunate because I have quite a number of these Acromills drawer bins like this. In fact, I've got 11 of these, and these are from an earlier project. So these are empty. There are a couple over here that have stuff in them, but mostly they're empty. I also, and I'm sure you've seen, I have a lot of Acro bins. I guess I'm a fan of Acromills stuff. So these are all Acro bins. And I have oodles and oodles. In fact, this is probably 10% of what I own that you see down here. So I have oodles and oodles of Acro bins. And I'm a fan of Gridfinity, and I'm working on that currently. But, I've got quite a few Gridfinity parts stored up here. These are IKEA Alex. Well, that doesn't have any in it because I just moved it down here from an upstairs. I have another place where I do hobbies and work. So I just moved these down here. So they're not organized yet. But connectors, screws, nuts, bolts, electrical parts. These are driver bits for electric screwdrivers. I mean, you name it. I've got power supplies, printer parts, Raspberry Pi, force measurement, fans, syringes, gauges, tags, SMD parts, wire. These are all custom circuit boards and things for the lab business. There are some of the lab business parts. This is stuff being sold on eBay that's listed right now. And then I've got these too, and these are Plano. So I've really got a couple brands of storage. These are let's see, I've got one down here. I'll show you instead. Jumping around a bit because, well, it's messy. So these are these multi-compartment Plano bins, and I standardized on this one size a long time ago. So I've got oodles of those too. So those Plano things fit into this red compartment. In fact, let's show those too. I'm giving you the full tour today. So here you can see some of those red bins with the Plano bins in them. So these are all different kinds of wall anchors, for example, and lamp parts, wire nuts or wire connectors. These are all specialized fittings. Oops, I just dropped a couple. For chromatography. So these are actually incredibly expensive. All of these are chromatography fittings. So that's all part of my work. Some old lab instruments. So back to the thing is I've got these Plano bins here. I've got the Acro bins there. I've got the Acro smaller bins, the drawer style ones. These things, both in the bigger, wider style. So, you know, these drawers are fairly large. And then I've got these smaller ones that are a little bit smaller. And then you go down to the Gridfinity stuff. And Gridfinity is great for top axis, but not so great for side axis. So Gridfinity, you can always reach down into Gridfinity bins, but they're not so good for longer things. And let me show you something I just got really hooked on. I guess I'm an addict. Is these freshly discontinued Sterilite bins or drawer systems. And these are great for things like test leads. So this is not a good Gridfinity candidate, and it's really not so great for like the Acro bins like this. You know, it sort of works in here, but not quite as well as these a little bit bigger drawer units from Sterilite. So I bought quite a few of these. And they're awesome because you can see through the front. So not only do I know this is mini grabber to mini grabber, but I can also see in there when I'm looking for it and say, okay, these are my mini grabber to mini grabber probes. See if I can get these nice with one hand. Yeah, so there's kind of like a number of categories of storage. Here's more Alex drawer underneath my one of my workbenches. These are more Alex drawers, and these are going to be mislabeled now because I've been moving stuff. So these were exclusively test leads, but now I've got my Miniware DT71 little probe tweezers in there for measuring SMD parts, the ubiquitous SMD tester. I don't even know really what's in here. Oh yeah, this is labeling. So this is all the Brother P-Touch system. I've got a number of these different Brother P-Touch type printers here. That's what I do this in, and I do it in the Consolas font. So there's probably more Gridfinity coming together down here. Oh, these are jumpers, DuPont jumpers. And then this will be more Gridfinity, and I think this is going to be some more Gridfinity down here. I've got a sink. I put in a utility sink down here. Water treatment for my work. This gives me reverse osmosis deionized water. I've got a carbonator for upstairs so we can get some fizzy soda water. I've got a dehumidifier that runs on a timer and pumps its wastewater out here into the drain. So this workshop stays quite low humidity, which is good for my work and also good for the 3D printing stuff. Another one of my workstations, this one I use more often. It's got a computer hanging underneath the desk. That is an old computer for something. Yeah, and then there's a second water heater down here to provide short-term hot water to the kitchen sink, which is up above here. This is my home lab backup stuff and some of the local switching. Some people got all fussy with me that I have it on a flammable cabinet, saying this is a big fire hazard. Kind of a wake-up call to anyone is that the whole point of the flammable cabinet is it's super thick steel and it's fairly airtight, so when it's closed, you could pretty much start a fire all around it and nothing would happen inside. So this is totally A-okay. Don't be commenting away on that and expect me to just stand quiet on that, or do. This is a super vintage, I did a video on this, super vintage LaBelle Industries moving message sign. This is my Alpha AMS moving message sign, which I'm still trying to hack to take out the demo code that gets sent to it with every message from the demo software. That's a fun project. And yeah, and then for lighting, I did those Amazon, I think I got them from Amazon, these tubes, the kind of the Chinese fluorescent style 120 volt mounts to the ceiling. And I'm a big fan of lots of white and light. So I spray painted the ceiling. I took all the nails out from all the joists. Obviously I left all the ones in the floor. I thought I ground a lot of those off. I probably did, and then they put new flooring in. Anyway, I took all that stuff out, and then I painted all the ceiling joists before I did the floor. And so it gives you a lot of, it's very bright down here. So I have no windows, so this is the best I can do to make it kind of cheery and fun. When I laid this out, I did it so there is a mid-wall through here, and it happens to echo the, I'll call it the spine of the house. There is a joist pack here, or a beam pack here of 2x12s, 2x14s, I don't remember, that run through the center of the house. And there is a couple of footings that go down here. So I made this the mid-wall of the workshop. And that's why you have the drill press and this line, and you have some storage there. And it does a nice job of isolating more of my work, where I spend for my work, versus where I spend for my hobbies over on this side. So it does a nice job of isolating that. I'm going to show you what I did. So the whole point here was I have lots of small part storage, and what I decided to do is to do something vertical. So just a little bit of a spoiler, the upcoming video, if I can get this done properly, I bought some Unistrut rail like this, and I bought some hangers, and these things roll inside the Unistrut rail. So the point is going to be to hang these bins in front of these shelves. So you can see I have some space along the wall here, and I'm going to put that Unistrut running parallel to these lights. And I just made a cabinet that will hang from the Unistrut and slide back and forth like a library shelf. So you will block some of these shelves at times, but you just slide it out of the way. And it holds 9 of these. And then I'm going to do another one to hold some of these as well. And let me show you that shelf just to see. I'll show you how it's come along so far. And let me know in the comments if you think this is a good idea or if you have any thoughts on it. So here's my hanging shelf system. Obviously it's laying flat right now. I guess I didn't put a bin in it before this video. Oops. So let's grab one of these little 4x4 acro bins. I think you've all seen these, whether in person or on someone's videos. So that sits like that, and you can envision this will hold 9 of these, so 2 in every compartment except for the top compartment. So yeah, there are 9. So yeah, this thing then will be vertical, with this right up here being the top, and the rollers sit here, so it can roll left to right. This way, this shelf can roll left to right. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and then that should give me a massive amount of part storage. There is another thing, because you'll see that I've got a lot of those acro bins sitting on shelves, which isn't the most useful way to store them. They do make these slat wall systems. So this slat wall is for acro bins. So here's an acro bin here, and that hangs on these slats like that. So you can see that and I have a number of these slat wall things too. So my plan is to make one of these rolling systems where it's just slat wall, and I can again put these acro bins then in a really dense and organized manner on the slat wall. So I've got all these in a nice way, and I can roll them out of the way and get to bigger stuff behind. So like right now I've got these small bins stacked up, which is not the best. I mean, partially because when you press and stuff, they tend to fall over. They're just not the most stable, but the minute you put them on those slat walls, they're really, really great. So a lot of these should be on the slat wall. So that's my plan, is to have almost this wall covered with roll-away bins. In fact, I've got it so that 2/3 of this wall will be covered, and about a third, little more than a third of it will be uncovered, so you can slide those left or right and always get to one of these shelves. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my shop tour. If you have questions, or if you have a better idea for any of the things that I'm about to do, I would love to hear it in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. It's amazing to me how all of you watch my little channel and give me comments and inspiration to keep doing what I'm doing, and I love it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.